As part of the research for my book on the history of soul food, I ate in 150 soul food restaurants, 35 cities, 15 states, and a lot of people are surprised that I'm still alive. My name is Adrian Miller, author of Soul Food, The Surprising Story of an American Cuisine, One Plate at a Time, which won the James Beard Award for Outstanding Reference and Scholarship in 2014. What we understand as soul food today is celebration food. It's the celebration food of the rural South that African Americans, as they left the South in large numbers during the Great Migration and transplanted themselves in different parts of the country, they tried to recreate home. And food is one of the easiest ways to recreate home. I am trying to reimagine soul food as an immigrant cuisine. Soul food is really about the food that African American migrants took out of the South and are eating outside of the South. And if you look at immigrant cuisines in the United States, it's typically the food from the old country, but it's usually the celebration food from the old country. And if you think about restaurants that feature ethnic food, it's usually started by an immigrant, and they want to show you the best of their country, right? So they're not going to have the day in and day out stuff as part of their menu. To me, celebration food would include fried chicken for sure. Another example is peach cobbler. And probably the quintessential soul food celebration food is chitlins. Now, chitlins is short for chitterlings, which is a term for pig intestines. Not for everyone, but those are the three that I really think about in terms of just celebration food. So once you start having celebration food more often, you know, it's not meant to be eaten every day. So if you make celebration food part of your regular diet, it's gonna have consequences on your health. So in my book on soul food, I came to the conclusion that what we understand as soul food in the United States really is a Western European meal with an African accent. Africans were pretty much coming into a situation where Europeans had a couple of centuries a head start in terms of forming foodways and interacting with the indigenous people here to create a cuisine. And then Africans came and kind of affected that template and added their own spin on the cooking and the food that was eaten here. Because it is truly a shared cuisine. African American, Western European, and Native American. It's one of the earliest fusion cuisines that we have in this country. If you actually start to parse what African Americans ate, particularly during slavery, it was pretty close to what we now call vegan. So it was seasonal vegetables, very little meat, very little processed ingredients, and mainly water to drink. And so meat was more like a condiment. Now when I make greens, I usually use smoked turkey. But when I use the sturdier greens, just to get more flavor, I usually use a ham hock. If I'm gonna make collard greens, and I just find it's just a good combo. And this actually harkens back to food practices from West Africa. In West Africa, when people make their greens, for example, they would get their greens and they would use some fish to flavor the pot of greens. But 200 years ago, any food that wasn't refined was considered poor people's food. But now we live in an era where people are rejecting the processed food because of all the health consequences and other things and concerns about our food system, and they're asking people to eat the food that was denigrated 2 centuries ago. And that was the food that was given to enslaved people. And I don't think healthy soul food is an oxymoron. That actually is more true to the roots of soul food. It's a very vegetable-based cuisine. And if you think about what nutritionists are telling us to eat, a lot of dark leafy greens, sweet potatoes, more fish, okra, all of those things are building blocks of soul food cuisine.